start this up. Let me
There
know
we
when
go.
we are ready.
I'll give you the thumbs
Roll.
up. Let's see. And we're live. It's
All
working.
right.
Heck yeah.
So, were candy hearts originally a sore throat lozenge? Are inventors, entrepreneurs, an overlooked U.S. trend that nobody sees right now? And did Kickstarter just open a store in China? Well, these and other items we're going to be discussing tonight. So much more on the February digital. It froze over in Kentucky, and so we had to go digital again. But we love it because we have all kinds of outside people joining us for the for a special guest edition of Inventor Friday. I'm Don Skaggs, your host. Before we get started, I do want to mention our sponsor. Our sponsor tonight is Windstream Kinetic. If you don't have a good digital presence in the 21st century, then it's like not being in the phone book in the 20th. So you definitely want good internet for the business, for your business, for connections, for your website. And one of the ways to do that is through Kinetic Business. So they've got some great programs. You can go to business.windstream.com and learn more about them. They provide 1 gig internet for us at our building, and it's great. So you definitely want to check that out. While you're on the internet, you might want to go over to our new website domain. Now, if you use the old one, that's fine. It'll go straight to it anyway. The old kyinventors.org domain. But if you go to actyournetwork.org, you'll see our you'll also go there and see our new website. And we're adding changes and new things to it all the time. We've got if you've been living under the rock the last couple of months, you might not have heard we've had a name change, a new rebrand, new name, expanded mission. We're now called Acture. And I even explain it in a little video right on our website. So if you've got questions, hopefully I've got the answers for you. And then also we've got all the different things that we provide. We have Empowered Inventing Academy courses. We've got all kinds of courses you can take. We've got our lineup of meetings that you can join us for. Quick links to things like membership. You want to join our tribe and be part of one of the most dynamic inventor entrepreneur groups in the country, well, you can join our tribe, see a replay of one of our meetings, or even do a one-on-one session with us as well. So you can see all that and peruse all these things on our website, actyournetwork.org. So also tonight, we have some really great guests that have joined us. This is the one silver lining to having for lack of a better word, snow day. Is we get to get guests in that normally we don't have a budget to fly people in from Nova Scotia, but guess what? In Michigan, we guess what we get to do that today. So tonight we have. Let me introduce Corey Schreiber. Am I saying that right, Corey?
Schreiber.
Schreiber. I keep mispronouncing people's names.
That's
Sorry.
all right.
Corey, tell us a little bit who you are and what you're all about.
Sure, I'm Corey Schreiber. I am with the Michigan Small Business Development Center. I am coming up very shortly on 13 years with this office. As it relates to the Inventors Networks, I was a kidpreneur. I developed my first prototype when I was 8 years old. I'm still developing to this day. Over time, I have blown up a lawnmower, blown up a ceiling fan, all in the good of trying to invent something.
Oh, you gotta love that. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Corey. Also with us tonight is Andrew Button.
Hey, Don. Hey, everybody. It's so great to be with y'all.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I started what I describe as a for more than profit company called Mashup Lab back in 2014. And before starting Mashup Lab, I spent about 15 years in various kind of economic development roles, mostly in rural places and mostly here on the east coast of Canada, here in beautiful Nova Scotia. And while I was doing that work, we were doing all kinds of really cool stuff. We're having pitch competitions. Our equivalent of the SBA office was offering all kinds of great training. Our local community college was opening up space for maker spaces and just like a really robust business retention expansion program that we were doing, and just lots of really cool stuff helping people start and grow businesses. But what I realized and began to learn through a whole sequence of events I won't bore you or your viewers with was that there was a massive pool of untapped, innovative entrepreneurial talent sitting on the sidelines of that whole ecosystem of things, not plugging into all the stuff that we were building and designing and creating for them. So that's where Mashup Lab was born. Is really around this curiosity of trying to answer two questions a little bit better every year: is how do we get the attention of people that don't pay attention to this kind of stuff, and how do we get them off the sidelines and into this game? So we've now put close to 2,000 people through our virtual business incubator program in 700 or so communities across both Canada and the US.
Wow, that is fantastic. That is fantastic, Andrew. Also with us tonight is Kara, and Kara, you're going to have to tell me. You're going to have to pronounce your last name for me. Whatever I'll do, whatever I'll guess, I'll butcher it. I promise you. I'm the world's worst at that.
It's fine. It's a Polish last name. I married into it. So it's Brzezicki.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's-
It means Birch Grove. So if we get a pinch, we might call you Birch or something. That way we don't butcher your name.
That is so true. I'm impressed that you knew that. Yes. Weird.
Weird knack for
Good.
that.
Leo is our own walking encyclopedia.
Uh, Obviously. Oh my goodness. What a great person to have on your team.
Absolutely. Well, Kara, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then later we're going to get into your inventions and your story. So, but give us a little synopsis.
Okay, the quick of it is I am an inventor. I started a little over 14 years ago with my first product. I've made several since then, and during that time, because I don't know how to sit still, I started writing books for children. So I'm a children's book author, though I have one book for adults. And I'm also a coach. So I coach typically entrepreneurs and help them get either books or products into the world. And yeah, that's the gist of what I do.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, and while we're let's see, let's bring on Leo and Eugenia. And Eugenia, I think we're going to start off with you. We're talking about some innovation in history that surrounds Valentine's Day.
I thought you were going to ask me to introduce myself.
Oh, well, might be a good idea to do that. Well, I just jumped right over it, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes,
Good
please
evening.
do.
Good evening, everyone. I am Eugenia Kelly. I am the local inventor for the Acture Network. I live less than a mile from the location. Great to be with you tonight. I have about 4 ideas, one with intellectual property, another one that's becoming intellectual property that I'm currently pitching, but I have not made a dime. I have just spent dimes. But thank you for having me.
Cool. And of course, Leo York.
Hey,
Last but not least.
VP, copywriter, glad to be here. That's about it.
All right, good deal. All right, well, now let's jump into some innovations in history to talk about. Eugenia, I think you're first up.
Yes. A show of hands, the conversation hearts, the ones that when you were at a Valentine party as a child and someone gave you a box of conservation hearts, can't you just hear it? How many of you like the taste of those?
They're okay. The smell's better.
Okay. Dawn picked out the topic for this evening. It's very appropriate. Happy Valentine's Eve, everyone. Conversations Hearts. I'm sure it's no surprise that they started out as a medicinal lozenge. Doesn't it
Mm.
taste like medicine? I'm not a fan of these, but I have to admit, Dawn, now I am because finding out the backstory gives me more of an emotional connection to it. So I'm happy to share that with you. He started out with two brothers as far back as 1847. And it was a Boston pharmacist. His name is Oliver Chase. And he invented a machine that could help him to mass produce lozenges for his pharmacy. He later evolved it into a candy wafer. How many of you know about the Necco? I called them Necco wafers. Did anyone else call them
Yeah.
something differently, like Nico
I
or
call
something?
them Necco wafers.
I
Necco
Yeah,
yes, I
wafers.
those
think I called
were
them Necco too.
those made the hearts taste fantastic by comparison.
Okay, I was going to say, show of hands, how many of you like the Necco wafers?
Must
Dang.
be an American thing.
Okay,
This is my first time hearing about them, so I'm learning something new here tonight.
okay. I never knew that the Necco wafers, that it was a basically an acronym, New England Confectionery Company. I never knew that until tonight. So we've got Conversation Hearts and Necco wafers that have the same origin. I don't think they taste very good. But these two brothers decided to evolve the medicinal lozenge, the Necco wafer, into the conversation candies that we know today. Guys, this started in 1866. Isn't that
Trippy.
crazy? So, like many true good movies on a Friday night, we're going to have the good parts, they're going to go bankrupt, they're going to change the recipe, and then somebody's going to save the day. And that's why when I went out to go buy some tonight so I could display them, I couldn't find any. They're sold out.
Mm.
So, these two brothers were witty. They developed, Don, if you don't care, can you show the earlier prototype
Yeah,
of the wafer before they did transition to a heart? In the
yeah.
beginning, they developed these sayings on them. I think it was in the first one, yeah. They promoted this wafer at weddings, and they would have longer sayings on them. For example, they would say, "Married in white, you have chosen right," or "How long shall I have to wait? Please be considerate." Those sorts of things. So they were witty brothers. They found an opportunity to make money from this. And it was in 1911 where they started getting more into the popular sayings that we are aware of today, like "Be mine," "Kiss me." What's so interesting is this candy has evolved with time. And some of the is, for example, they used to say "fax me," and now they say "text me."
Mm.
This year, 2026, they are reflecting, this is terrible. They are reflecting the relationships of 2026, and one of the sayings is "split rent." Isn't it
Ouch.
just so funny? Split rent, meaning that two people live together so they can just split the rent. That's their conversation heart. So if you want to keep up with pop culture, keep up with conversation hearts. The production of them, the Necco wafers went on to make 8 billion hearts per year, making them the second Valentine candy behind chocolate, right? They've always been a staple at parties. Okay, so now let's get to the drama. In 2010, they changed the flavors and everybody hated it and the sales dropped. But the next year, they went back to their original recipe. 8 years later, they went broke. Did you know
Mm.
in 2018 that they went under? I did not know that. That was
No.
not very long ago. But so then so the Spangler Candy Company purchased them. The Spangler candy company is in Ohio. And in 2019, they came back. There was a shortage for the first time ever. 2020, guys, February 14th, 2020. What happened after February 14th, 2020? The next
Oh,
month, COVID hit.
World went south.
But it was in 2020, February 14th. That's when they brought them back. And then COVID hit. I have to blame those old candy hearts. So that's the story. They are in production today, and I just feel more connected to them. So let's talk about these two brothers, the Chase brothers. Why do we think that they pivoted from a medicinal product to a candy product? Was there some type of appeal to that? We're talking the late 1800s.
yeah. I mean, a lot of companies have made that pivot as medicine's progressed because, in the 1800s, you could sell anything as medicine pretty much. And in the early 20th century, I mean, Coca-Cola was a medicinal product. It was basically wine and cocaine. That was what it was. And I think that was probably a lot of it is as medicine got more truly medicinal, they would have lost a lot of market share if they hadn't pivoted. I can't believe that you treat them like a lozenge either. Like I've been eating them wrong. I've been eating them like chalk. So, well, I don't think you're supposed to eat chalk, but you know what I mean. Um, and Corey, I think you had a question or comment, and you're muted. There we go.
Yes, I am. I'm thinking back, little PTSD to those elementary days where you put the hearts in the little card and you shared them with your classmates. Have we evolved to attaching those to a lease agreement?
Sounds like it.
Pretty much, yeah.
They taste so
Pretty
bad they could
much.
probably cause a divorce. Yes.
At one point, and maybe I'm just misremembering or thinking of something different, but at one point, didn't they like try putting insults on the hearts instead of something
Yes, I
else?
remember
think you're right.
those. Yeah,
I
I
just
do
happened to
remember
think of
that.
that.
Hmm,
They're an
interesting.
interesting confection. Yes. So the other thing that I was supposed to mention was how when they went from those bigger wafers that they would do more at weddings and parties, and then in the early 1900s, they went to the heart. So they had to reduce the words and then find a new way to print. And the younger brother, he used vegetable dye, and he innovated how to print on these candy hearts. I just can't imagine being around the dinner table with their parents and these two brothers just talking about these candy hearts. And I mean, doesn't that just sound hilarious? Or does it give credit to what we talk about with our families?
Yeah. Corey?
I learned today that flying on an airplane between the altitude, the pressure, the humidity, and the droning sound of the engines, it deflates the sensitivity of your taste buds.
Yes, yes.
So food has to be created differently. Maybe those Neckos and candy hearts should be served on flights.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's a good one.
Some ways
Oh,
you
I
have to
bet.
look at your markets, right?
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to the whole pivot thing. It's like, okay, well, I almost wonder if maybe the sales were going down on the Necco wafers. I wonder why, for throat lozengers, but so they were trying to think, okay, well, we're not selling as many of these as we thought. What else can we do with them? You wonder if that wasn't a discussion around the kitchen table.
Mm.
Yeah, they probably didn't have this term back in the 1800s, but like addressable market, right? Like what's the
Yeah.
addressable market for a lozenge product, and a very sort of specific use case for that. But then all of a sudden, you use that same technology, a slightly different positioning, and all of a sudden a whole new market kind of opens up to you. And I think they were picking away at that with these wafers at weddings and with, birthdays. But once they found that technology of being able to print words onto a candy that you can eat, is like, oh, there's a whole other thing here that it's probably a lot easier to sell than trying to figure out how to get it through, the pharmacy chains and all the
Right.
like the distribution channels, right, that go along with that.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it'd be a wider market too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's why they ultimately pivoted to Valentine's. It's a wider market too. Instead of waiting for people to get married, it's just like, hey, everybody, it's February 14th. So yeah. Uh, Kara, what are your thoughts on all this?
It's really interesting. My thought kept going to what were the ingredients originally, and did they just take out the medicinal portion and keep the rest of it? And why they made it taste like chalk. Like Leo, you said, "Oh, we're not supposed to eat chalk," but I knew what you meant because they taste like what I
Yeah,
think chalk would taste like.
yeah, exactly. I'd
Yeah,
say, I don't know this, but I'd say the original recipe was just sugar and probably beet juice for the dye. I don't know though. I'm just speculating.
yeah, yeah, and
Weird.
whatever other purpose that it was meant for, that's what I was curious. Like, what did they
I
put
mean,
in
to
it?
this
Was it
day, I use Luden's lozenges, and the active ingredient in that is pectin. It's basically just jelly cough drops. Like there's no medicine in it, but it kind of works because the pectin, thickens your saliva. Too much information, but you know what I mean?
it's the placebo effect. You think it's
Yeah,
working, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's
Those just cause
soothing.
you cavities, Leo.
yeah, they do.
Your
Yeah.
dentist loves them.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Well,
the dentists
we're
are all
talking about
for that.
elementary school. That was the thing that you would bring to school when you had a cough, and all your friends were like, "You got candy? I got a cough too," and they'd start coughing. So yeah, trying to mooch the Ludens.
Oh, I saw in I think it was in a dentist office. Now that you mentioned dentist, there was like a bowl of candy and a little sign that said "Come back soon."
Oh, that's clever.
Oh yeah, clever marketing ploy.
Mhm.
Oh,
Well, this was definitely a conversation about pharmacists going into the candy business. I'm sure there's dentists who've done it as well. Yes, Corey.
So why don't dentists put the numbing agent in the candy? Let me just
Oh,
get that out of the way right up front.
Yeah,
okay,
you
any
could
of
that's
you
you could
dentists
mad.
out
I've
there?
never thought of that. Yeah,
that would be a
that would
good
be.
uh precursor for when you do get dental work to just chew on a
Mhm.
piece of candy.
And
Yeah.
once I can't taste it anymore, I'm good.
Boom. Yeah. Ready to
Yeah.
go.
Right.
Or stick it in a certain spot in your mouth so it gets really
Yeah,
numb and not the whole
Mhm.
thing if you don't need to.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Hmm.
absolutely.
Well, Don, I really enjoyed this. It had every part to a good story. And what's amazing, they are still going strong and they are still relevant. I'm going to share with you one more tidbit. I didn't know this in 2025, which was just this past year. They said for Halloween, they were playing on relationships and being ghosted. They did
Ah.
Mm.
conversation hearts that were all white with no sayings, as though you had been ghosted.
Ah.
Oh,
That's
I
that's
don't
That's
know
that's
how
worse
that
brilliant.
than the
came.
insult ones.
Yeah, I don't know how that
yeah.
campaign went, but the Spangler Company in Ohio, they're staying true to the tradition in that they still taste the same, they still look the same. They're staying true to the fact that they stay relevant. They look at trends and they still take risks.
Hmm.
So I hope they have a really good candy at the Spangler Candy Company that can manage the offset of these things.
And
Even
And I
though,
hope the customers don't ghost them.
exactly,
right.
uh,
Exactly.
they make over 600 million a year.
Wow. And they're sold out today.
Could not find them. I could see the Sweetheart brand. They, other brands like Brock's makes them also. But one last question, who prefers candy cigarettes over conversation hearts?
I do, but I don't know what makes them different. They're just sugar.
I
Oh,
didn't know they were still a thing.
they're
How are they
sweeter,
different? They're
sweeter and
sweeter.
softer.
Yeah, they're just
I love a
better.
good candy cigarette. Get me a pack of Pall Malls.
I have never, in almost 50 years, heard that phrase in a conversation.
Hmm.
You heard it here tonight, folks.
That's
That
why we
needs to be
come
the
to
title of a
Inventor.
book. The title of a book right there. I prefer candy cigarettes over candy hearts.
That's the weight of my heart.
That would be a good book title, for real.
Were they called Popeye cigarettes in the US as well, or was that just here in Canada?
What was
They were
that?
they were Popeye, like Popeye the Sailor Man cigarettes
Really?
in Canada.
No, because Popeye smoked a pipe.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah,
Huh,
you
yeah, no,
would buy
that's a
them
new
in
one
a
to
red
me.
box of Popeye candy cigarettes.
Huh.
I've
Did
seen
you all up in
Popeye
Canada have
brands.
the oh, go
Oh,
for
go
it,
ahead,
sorry.
Leo.
I was just gonna
Uh,
ask, did you have the bubble gum chewing tobacco in Canada?
Oh, I'm sure we did. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think I've just seen Popeye spinach. Now I have seen them still sell that Popeye branded
I can still
spinach.
see that red box sitting on the shelf with the Popeye character but yeah, but he
Cribby.
That's
smoked a
wild.
pipe. He was oh yeah, Big League Chew. That's
Big
yeah, we
League
got the
Chew.
Big League Chew. That's
Yum.
Oh
That was
yeah.
it.
Great.
Yeah.
oh to be a kid in the 80s and 90s, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, wow. So, all right. Let's see. Anything else on this on your end, Eugenia?
No, I think
Or
we've had enough conversation on
okay,
conversation
let's see.
hearts.
I think Leo's got a
Indeed.
topic
Well,
next.
yeah, instead of sharing screen at first, I'm gonna try and probably fail to M. Night Shyamalan this one. So and I want to know your thoughts, Kara, Corey, and Andrew, and everybody at home. Try and guess who this is, because this really surprised me. So this is a patent. It's US 6469A in 1849. Try and figure out who this is. This is the title of the patent. Buoying vessels over shoals. To whom it all may concern, be it known that I, name redacted, of place redacted, in the state redacted, have invented a new and improved manner of combining adjustable buoyant air chambers with a steamboat or other vessel for the purpose of enabling their draft of water to be readily lessened to enable them to pass over bars through shallow water without discharging their cargo. And then he goes on to describe the figures. The vertical shafts are connected to the main shaft, which passes longitudinally through the center of the vessel just below the upper deck. So ostensibly what they are describing are independent, what would you call that? Like kind of inflatable chambers that would keep a boat from getting stranded over shallow water, over bars, over shoals, and in a way that can be adjusted so that it doesn't tilt the craft and cause it to lose cargo or even people. Does anybody have any idea as to who would invent such a thing?
You said 1849?
That's right.
Are we talking a person, a group of people?
It's one guy, and I'll tell you one thing, I didn't even know he liked boats. Had no idea he even liked boats. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is a hard one. And by hard I
General
mean
Lee.
impossible. Close.
Good.
Somebody we would all know.
Close. Oh
Somebody in
man.
Mississippi?
Custer.
No?
Altman, little cooler. Kara, you got any guesses? It was
No,
Abraham
Sherman.
Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. So you were close with the Civil War business. Turns out Abraham Lincoln not only was super into boats and actually riding on boats, but he actually was really into mechanical things. He had a real bent towards machinery, and this is from his last law partner, who said a lot of things. He evinced a decided bent toward machinery or mechanical appliances, a trait he doubtless inherited from his father, who was himself something of a mechanic and therefore skilled in the use of tools. More interestingly, that same Herndon said that this is what got this started was not only was he as a teenager a flatboat navigator and loved it. Like when he was 19, he would just go up and down to New Orleans in a flatboat, a lot of times with like one other person. So it was not easy work. And on one occasion, oh, sorry. I thought somebody said, oh, there you go. On one occasion, though, he was on his way home and he got stranded on a sandbar. So that was all it was. What ended up happening is, and this is also a quote from Herndon, the captain ordered the hands to collect all the loose planks, empty barrels, boxes, force them under the sides of the boat. This was, to create that leverage. These empty casks were used to buoy it up. After forcing enough of them under the vessel, she lifted gradually and at last swung clear of the opposing sandbar. So Lincoln sees this and realizes, well, what about instead of using things on the boat for leverage, what if we have something adjustable that is expressly for that purpose, and then you don't run into those kinds of emergencies? So that was the logic. That just really blew my mind that was a thing. It
So
never really. I'll go for it.
is that what eventually became the ballast on ships, where you take on water instead of cargo to make sure you are properly sailing the seas, so to speak?
That is a perfect observation, because one of the things I was actually going to ask is, why do you think this wasn't incorporated and catch on? And I think that that's the deal. I think that ultimately it evolved into the ballasts, and that was the reason. It was almost too early to work, and then once people observed it, improvements came fast enough that it was no longer it was obsolete. So yeah, but that just blows my mind that Abraham Lincoln of all people had come up with something like that. And as Don was showing the patent, it's not some amateur, here's a politician who came up with something, and it's a legit brilliant concept. And incidentally, he actually came up with it and worked on it in between sessions of Congress. So that's another wonderful example of just how productive this guy could be. So yeah, that just blows my mind. So do you guys think there were any other presidents who patented anything?
Oh, there had to be.
Like, wasn't Benjamin Franklin a notorious inventor of things?
He
Like,
was, and unfortunately, he wasn't a president. But it's kind of a
Roosevelt.
shame.
oh yeah, that's
You would think that guy was basically Batman. Um, well, I've got surprisingly sad information. He's the only president with a patent to his name. Mind blowing, really. Because
It's
you'd
kind of
think,
cool though, really, right?
it is. It's definitely a feather in his cap as far as that goes. But yeah, pretty much all the early presidents signed patents, and the first patent ever actually signed was in 1790 to Samuel Hopkins, and that was signed by George Washington. It's got his signature on it. But the only one with the applicant being a president, it was Abraham Lincoln. So
Wow.
pretty trippy stuff.
That is
That's
true.
pretty much all I got.
All right. But did he end up commercializing it though?
Not exactly. Again, I think that ultimately it paved the way for superior products, but it was brilliant. And it's a classic inventor story too. He has a problem that he experiences firsthand, sees the current solution, sees the problems with the current solution, comes up with a superior solution. It's like classic story, except for the fact that he didn't commercialize it. But I can't really blame him, because I think he had a few other things on his plate. So go for it, Corey.
May I propose a current problem and see if we can crowdsource something while
Okay,
we're all here?
Let's
sure.
do it.
All right. Currently, due to medical reasons, I am on 10 prescriptions. Prescriptions come with a stupid amount of paperwork.
Hmm.
What can we do to eliminate that?
Uh,
Can I get stored digitally in something I can access online? QR code. I've been struggling myself to come up with a decent solution that someone from 95 to 16 can all work with.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that sounds like kind of like an inventory app had a baby with like a DocuSign app. I mean, pretty much. That's what I'm picturing.
Can't you just ask Siri? Like, say, hey Siri, these are all the things I'm taking. What do I need to know?
Yeah.
What, doesn't
Yeah.
Siri just know everything? Can you just ask it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
I was
far as
going to say summarize
contraindications,
it.
that yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. No, no,
Or
no,
in Chat
absolutely.
GPT or something, or like Notability, that app. Like, so it's all in like a folder that could be. Because are you saying that you don't want to read all of it?
Number one, I have never read a single one of them. They come with about 5 pages stapled together, stapled to the paper bag, and then if you're unlucky enough, it's stapled to the plastic bag that you get to carry home.
Oh,
I think
And
it's
I
state
right,
law
see.
in Kentucky. You have to, they staple it 5 times.
Oh, yeah, right.
and my shredder cannot handle that amount of paper.
Mm,
I
yeah,
think
that
it's
is kind of
federal
silly.
law that they have to include that with the medication. Even if they're all electronically sent anyway, so there's no reason why they would have to print it unless it was part of the law. I think I'm
I'll
fairly
tell
Yeah.
certain.
you a weird medical regulation that just boggles my mind. They still use the medical industry, as far as I know, is the only industry that still uses a fax machine. And
Mm,
it has something to do with the regulations. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Hey, the fax
yeah.
machines makers thank them.
Yeah, right.
Could
Yeah, even
be.
in the in my world, they it's the exact same thing. You know, you have to. Oh no, you can't send an email. You have to have a letter hand signed by the captain, and then scanned and faxed. Honest to God.
Mm,
We
yeah.
would get people coming into our co-working space from time to time saying, "Do you all have a fax? Like I have to fax this thing back to my doctor. I've got to fax this thing to my physiotherapist." Like that was, and we're like, "Yeah, sorry."
So
$1979 technology still in use.
Corey, I have 11th prescription for you. Necco wafers.
There you go.
Thank you. At least it's not the hearts that are going to break my heart all over again.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh, cool, cool. All right. Well, let's see. What is next? Oh, guess I'm up next. Let's see. We're going to be talking about February 4th, 2004. Doesn't seem like all that long ago, but I guess it is. Mark Zuckerberg creates a private online directory for students to share their profiles. He basically launches, he called it the Facebook in the beginning. And here, let me share my screen and we'll look at some of this because it's kind of interesting. Let's see, move away from the Lincoln patent, and here we go. So it was he was in college, he was in Harvard, and they had something called Facebooks, which were, included names and pictures of everyone in the student dorms. And so, of course, he was a coding guy, so he was like coming up with different things. So he created actually. Well, let me back up and ask this: has anybody seen The Social Network, that movie?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting movie. If you've not seen it, I recommend watching it. Yeah, it kind of paints Zuckerberg as sort of a jerk, really, but a really really smart one. So he wrote a program called Course Match, allowed users to make class selection decisions based on their choices of other students, and then he kind of got into the whole. And I don't know if the movie starts out, he's like broke up with his girlfriend and he's really mad, and he like makes up this program at night to I think it's like Hot or Not. It's almost like an early, not really dating, but more like oh, okay, this person looks better than this person, and it had their pictures. They got a lot of trouble over that, but that kind of led him to the Facebook thing. So anyway, here, let me get this other page. So he actually also was working for these other two guys. They were actually, I think they were twins, the Winklevosses, and they were working on something similar. He was actually doing work for them, and of course there was a lawsuit after that. They said, no, you stole our idea. Yeah, here we go. The origin has been scrutinized in the critically acclaimed 2010 film, and that was that long ago. But the exact source remains unclear. I thought the thing about the Finkel. Here we go. Here we go. So he built Face Smash. Well, anyway, the Winklevoss.
Connect You is kind of the one that was really similar.
Oh, yeah, they had something that was very, very close to that.
Yeah.
And
Kind of like the name better too, Connect You. It's
yeah,
kind of nice.
and I think it was more just, very, very college insular. Well, and I guess Facebook was too originally,
Oh
or
yeah.
the Facebook.
Yeah, for the
Um,
first like 5 or 6 years, I think.
yeah. So anyway, the he was doing some work for the uh I'm probably not even saying that, Winklevoss
No,
twins,
you got it.
and they here we go. Ah, 6 days after the site launched, three Harvard seniors, Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, and another person, accused Zuckerberg of intentionally misleading them into believing he would help them build a social network called Harvard Connection, which he was using to build a competing product. Three companies complained to the Harvard Crimson, and the newspaper began to investigate in response. While Zuckerberg tried to convince editors not to run the story, he also broke into the editor's email accounts by using the private login data from the Facebook. So anyway, there was a big settlement. Settlement was 1.2 million Facebook shares and $20 million in cash, which is
That's
probably,
that's really surprising because the Winklevoss twins, I had to look it up. The both of them together are worth 9.2. Oh, never mind. It's 9.2 billion. I was wondering, I was like, where'd that money go?
oh,
Okay. Nope, never mind.
aha. So anyway, so do you think Zuckerberg stole or copied the work he was doing with the Winklevosses? What do y'all think?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do.
I think it'd be hard to argue otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
yeah,
working on it and then he comes up with something that's remarkably similar. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it definitely makes for a great story, but it just goes to
yeah.
show like an ounce of execution is worth a pound of ideas, right? It's like
yes,
That's a good point.
there,
Absolutely.
there's a
I've
lot.
seen a
There
recent
may have been
example of,
dozens of other people at Harvard that also had that idea, but like there was something to be said for actually turning it into something that can be marketed, can be created, can be monetized, and all of the things that came with it.
Mhm.
So
That's true.
do the Winklevosses have a case to be made for, like, we had this idea, this concept, and first, sure, should they see some of the benefit from that? Sure, but that's a really super long stretch from going from idea to $1 billion company, right? There's a lot of execution to be done in between.
It's a fair point.
Execution's everything.
At what point do you have to change something to what degree before it becomes something new? I'm simply playing devil's advocate.
No,
That's
sure.
it. And what he built was originally focused on higher educational institutions, but it's my understanding the rest of the team wanted to stay in that direction. He pivoted and shifted towards the general population. That's what made it different enough that it became Facebook.
Interesting.
Again, devil's advocate.
Yeah, could you imagine Harvard connection with our grandmothers being on that?
Yeah, sharing weird AI pictures and asking if it's real. Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, around the early 2000s, that was the cool thing that the young people were into was Facebook. And now it's Memo. And it's Memo and Papa. Or it's your grandparents that are on it. But
I call it the brag book.
the brag book. Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us more about that? Where did that come from?
For brag book?
Yeah.
Grandparents used to carry photo albums in their purses, and they were called brag books. So just little teeny tiny, and it was your brag book. And now, so
I
instead of
totally misheard you. I have one of those in a drawer. The brag book. I misheard bribe book.
yeah,
So I started
yeah, that's
toying there for
my
a moment.
that's my Shania twang.
What would a bribe book look like?
Well, it sounds like Zuckerberg bribed a few people, right? Because he walked away with a really good idea. I think what's interesting about the movie, and I watched it, and I don't even know if I finished it because I know that it's not his biography. So I just really don't. I have to see it as entertainment because he says it's not true. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, or at least I try to do that out of respect to a billionaire and a brilliant mind, right? No matter if you like him or not, he's still brilliant. But those two twins, they've done very well for themselves. And I feel like it was just meant for this scrawny nerd to be the one to really make a success out of this. And I do think he had the better name, and probably he had the gumption that it took to see it through. If it had been the Harvard connection and the two twins, it may not have become today's brag book for our grandparents. I hope I pronounced it more northern.
To Andrew's point, and to your point too, Eugenia, the they have Zuckerberg had a psychology studies that he took, and he had computer science studies that he took. And I wonder if he did combine those things together to push, again, like what Corey was saying, turn it into something really that was different, ultimately different than what the Winklevoss twins had in mind. I'm always hearkening back to the story of McDonald's. Sometimes on our Inventor Entrepreneur Night at the movies, we'll do the founder, which is the story of Ray Kroc, the guy that uh, didn't really start McDonald's but took off with it. And it was a similar fight with the McDonald's brothers, that they had this really great concept for a restaurant, and they but I have to think that if Ray Kroc had not come along, that no one would know what McDonald's was. It would have just stayed in San Bernardino, and just been, a cool little restaurant that wouldn't have really expanded or gone anywhere. And you kind of think about the same thing with Facebook, is if it had just been the Winklevoss twins, then maybe it had just been a little college thing, and maybe it had even died out.
Mhm.
FC was the same way. He was
Yeah.
rejected how many times?
Oh, it was we just did that. What was that? 1,000? I
It
think we had
wasn't
1,000 no's.
Over.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about that whole situation is like, as entrepreneurs, you find yourselves in these situations where there's conflict, and depending on how you choose to deal with it and the approach that you take, you have some choices as a part of that path. And you would might wonder if Zuckerberg and the Winklevosses made different choices about how they were going to deal with that conflict, right? So that something came up, they're like, okay, there needs to be something figured out. Sounds like Zuckerberg took a hard line on it, right? But he might have made a different choice to come to a different arrangement with them, and there would never have been this social network movie about it, right? So there is a really interesting, I think, story around entrepreneurship, just as much as it is about patents and intellectual property. It's like, as entrepreneurs, you get to make choices, and sometimes the choice that you make has a set of consequences, that a ripple effect that happens from it. And like, if you made a different choice and just said, okay, let's come to a different agreement here, and maybe I don't feel it's right, but I'm going to go this way instead of that way. You never get the social network movie. You get a whole other story that comes out of it. So it's like a really thoughtful pause to think about, like, what's the choice I'm going to make here, and what might be the story I have to live with after I made that choice, because it's really hard to put that genie back in the bottle sometimes. So it's like a really good lesson, I think, to learn around, just stop and pause for a second, think about, like, yeah, I might be right, but do I really need to be right in this
Right.
scenario? Because it's like there's a ripple effect that happens after I prove that I'm right, right? And then the way in which you go about getting to a destination is just as important as the destination, in my view, right? So, and we all have different personalities that we inject into these things, and for better or for worse, they're double-edged swords. But that's what's fascinating to me about that story. It's like, just because of the choices that got made early on, all of a sudden it blows up into this big thing. You get a Hollywood movie produced about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Might not have been as interesting a movie, but it's Hollywood. They have
Oh,
to.
it would have been boring as hell. Like, the one that got produced is a hell of a better story, but yeah, it might have ended in a very different place.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. Normally we move into the news items now, but I tell you what, let's talk about Kara's invention, our featured inventor entrepreneur. Um, Kara, tell us about well, just tell us your story. How'd you come up with your ideas?
Well, so it's been about 14 years. I worked a corporate job and decided, well, I got pregnant so it was me and my husband. I got pregnant and couldn't go back to work because I fell in love with my first son. And I'm kind of I don't sit still very well. So granted, he was a very difficult baby, but I just needed something a little more. But he used to throw his sippy cup all the time, which drove me bananas. And everything on the market wouldn't work. And so I was like, I just want a clamp and a cord and attach it to the sippy cup, so when he throws it, it dangles. And when I went and tried everything, nothing would work. And so I created, this is a prototype. So this was the very first one. So it's 3D printed, so it squeaks. But I originally went and bought a big Home Depot clamp, and I drilled a hole in the bottom, and attached a cord and then a hair tie, and I would take it out, and it worked great. People loved it. People would come up, they're like, "Where'd you get that?" And I'm like, "Well, I made it." And then I was like, "Ooh, I better do something." Like, oh, you know how inventors get, we get very protective. And so I did searching, patent searches, all of it. There was nothing on the market. Found an engineer, got it patented. I ended up patenting it myself, which was I hired an attorney, a patent attorney. Long story short, I had to let him go because he talked more about his cat instead of my patent. So I was like, this is a waste of money. So I ended up doing it myself, and it never went anywhere. So the tooling costs were just ridiculous, and living on a single income at the time was this is not going to happen. So I had a licensing agreement in 2020, and then guess what happened? COVID. So it's still in limbo. So the Sippy Clippy is still in limbo, and that's okay because
Yeah.
I invented more things during my journey. And the next one was the flusher blocker, which I ended up on pitching it to the QVC. Oh, thank you. To QVC, the head honcho, and she told me it was the worst invention that she's ever seen,
Oh my
and
God.
broke me. And I believed her, and then I didn't. So this is my best-selling product. It's typically for neurodivergent children, is what I created it for. It sticks onto an automatic toilet at a public restroom, and do your business done, wash it, and stick it on the back of your phone or back on the backing it comes with. Sorry, my dog is on right next to me, shaking my computer. I apologize. So I'm gonna
No
hold it
worries.
now. And then that led into the last one, which is the coffee stopper. And that's my newest one. So this one replaces the splash sticks and to-go cups. So instead of when you go to Starbucks or anything in those little plastic stoppers, they're so bad for the environment. And so I created the coffee stopper to combat that. Um, so that was like the inventing journey. And then during that time, because I told you I can't sit still, I started writing children's books. I have seven children, or yes, seven books published, six are children's, and that led into getting certified with coaching and doing that. So it all kind of like flows into one another, and it is it's a lot, but stop. But it's I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I didn't do all this. So it's kind of try to go quick, my little story.
Cool, cool. I mean, so of all, it sounds like you had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And so what was the hardest part, you think, of the journey for you?
You know, I think the hardest part, and I know you've all heard this saying, which is an overnight success is 10 years in the making. And most people just quit because it's hard and you lose a lot of money. I think Eugenia said it earlier, but or maybe it was Corey, but you'll just lose money. And that was the thing with the Sippy Clippy is, thousands and thousands of dollars into this. And it was my very first invention. And I didn't want, like, you almost feel like a failure because you're like, but I was supposed to create it. I was supposed to create it, and it didn't happen. I think that was the hardest part is just realizing that that's part of the journey and that not everything is meant to work out. And not that it won't ever, it's just not right now, and that's okay. But the fact is that something will work out and that you have to keep going with it though. Like if you get a lot of market feedback and people are like, this is actually not a good product, then you need to take that into account. But if people are like, hey, this is working for me, I understand where you're coming from, then I say keep going. And just to be careful with the money. If it's going to cost, and that's the problem too. When I first started, I had no idea about tooling, engineering. I was just like, it's a clamp. Just build a clamp, and I have 6 different molds for this. Like, really? That's insane. But I never knew that. And the patent process is everything, does everything need to be patented? In my journey now, at the very beginning, I would have said yes, everything does. But now, no, I don't. For me, I don't think that everything has to be patented. And most things, like if I kind of almost take it as a pat on the back if somebody rips you off. Like I don't want that, but like then you
Sure.
really got a good product.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, hardest part is not quitting because it's much easier to quit and go get like a real job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of all
Um,
the inventors, and we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of them, that is the one thing that I've always, and people have heard me say this, they're probably sick of hearing me say it, but it's the one common thread we see with all the successes is that tenacity. It's that
yeah,
persistence. It's
100%.
that, okay, this didn't work. What did I learn from that? And let me move. And it looks like you moved on to different things. I love the fact that you said QVC said it was the worst thing. Nobody will ever
Mm,
buy this. The worst thing in the world. And then you turn around and then you sell a ton. I love that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
I,
It
I,
was, and it's interesting because with the Sippy Clippy, I got invited to go to Florida to pitch it. And so the vice president at the time knew me. I'd met her before. And so when she was like, "You have better products than this." And this is the thing too, is just because somebody that seems like they're like a higher up says something about your product, if you have the belief in it and you know in your heart of hearts that this is something you're supposed to do, I wouldn't let anybody tell you otherwise, ever, because they don't know.
That's
And she
correct.
didn't know.
absolutely.
And she
It,
did it out of the love. Like it was out of love, but it
Mhm.
wrecked me. I cried. I remember going, okay. Um,
yeah. I mean, it hurts. It really
Yeah.
physically hurts when somebody says something bad about your baby. I mean, it always there's a paternal instinct, I think, that's just baked into coming up with ideas. You gave birth to the idea.
yeah,
They
And
call it a brainchild for a reason. Yeah.
mhm,
yeah.
yeah.
That's a good,
I
I've
got
never
it.
heard that. That's exactly
Yeah.
it.
I also got to say, I love the aesthetics of the coffee stopper, the leaf design.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it got me to thinking, people love to customize things. I put a link in the chat to these silicone tea infusers. They come in a variety of shapes. Have you ever toyed around with the idea of making different iterations of it where, people who want to, show off their individuality can do so?
yes. So that has been kind of a challenge because, again, molds. So
Of course. Yeah, that makes
everything has a
sense.
mold, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. So if somebody had like I've had multiple people reach out, and I'm like, you can do it. It would be in a bulk. So
Mm,
it's a little more money, but it's
yeah.
only because I have to create a whole nother mold. So
Yeah.
that's my only issue right now is being able to do it. If I could figure out a way without having to use
Sure.
molds, that would be something. There's a silicone
Mm,
creation, like a way to create a
yeah.
silicone product without having to
Mm,
buy molds. Then you're onto something, and I'll buy it from you.
mm. Good deal. Thank you.
So I asked what was the hardest part? What was the part that what was the thing you think helped you the most through the whole process?
The belief in myself. Um, you guys all know this. You hear no more than you've ever heard yes. And it's not, I've always been like a little quirky and never really listened to like what most people said. I always kind of did my own thing. And so I think that was very helpful for me. And to not just believe somebody else's words and be like, no, I can do this. And that's the thing is we're all humans. And if Abraham Lincoln can create a buoy, um, why can't I create my product? So that it's just the belief in yourself and to just keep going when it's hard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if they want to buy a flusher blocker, where do they need to go?
To flusherblocker.com. It's
All right.
I do actually have men that like it because the public restroom is disgusting and that
Mhm.
splashback is really gross.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, it's
Absolutely it is.
gross. And it's like, why are you ghost flushing? Stop. So prevents
I've never heard
ghost
that word,
flushing.
but that's perfect. Ghost flushing.
Ghost flushing.
Oh,
Gary,
wow.
can I ask a quick question about that? Like, I have to hear the backstory of what inspired you to create that in the first place. Like, there had to be a situation or a moment in time where you're like, there's got to be a better way to deal with this, and you came up with it. Like, can you share any of that backstory?
Yeah, of course. So my first son, he has SPD. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. It's sensory processing disorder. And he's very mild, very, very mild. You wouldn't know now. He's in high school, so, and he'd probably hate me if he knew I told you all. But he was terrified of loud noises. And so every time we go to Chick-fil-A, that would freak him out. And I would hold him and cover the sensor, put toilet paper down, and then I'd put toilet paper on and he'd flail and it'd fall off and it'd flush. And so that was, and I was like, I have to create something that is better than a sticky note because the sticky notes would come off too. And I wanted it to be eco-friendly. I like eco-friendly products. And so that never happened because he was a hard child. And then I had my second son, and he was even worse with the automatic toilet. And so it took he it took an incident in Chick-fil-A, of course. We were in the playpen area, and he was like, I have to go number two. I have to go number two. I'm like, let's go. And he's like, I hate it. It's scary. And I'm like, that's okay. So ended up going in his pants. We got kicked out of Chick-fil-A and they had to clean the whole playground or playpen, even though it was not anywhere else but his pants. And I was like, that's it. This is the worst thing. We go to Chick-fil-A all the time. They loved the playpen. So I created my first one and I would take it with me to restrooms and I'd give it to the moms when I'd hear them because other kids were like, no, no. I'm like, hey, here. So that's kind of how I got started. It's just like you said, there's always a need, usually for yourself and why you create your products.
Absolutely.
Oh, so amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Like I know there's always
Yeah.
a personal element to those things. And um so now it's a product that you sell and it's you said it's your selling product. Like what was the I guess tipping point for you of just like handing it out to moms in the restroom to like now being able to figure out how to turn it into a business, and like what was that, yeah, what was that sort of transition like for you? Because I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs and inventors get stuck is like they come up with something really ingenious, but now they got to figure out how to build a business model around that to make it viable, other than just something that makes them a couple $1,000 a year, right? So like, what did that part of the journey look like for you?
I mean, that's the hardest part. Like you said, marketing. It's getting, like, you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, then it's worth it. It's not worth anything. Um, I started going to neurodivergent fairs and just became a vendor. And so I started getting into that world and started getting into some retail stores across the country. And it just started with talking about this scary thought and putting it up on Facebook and Instagram and then my own website and Etsy. Etsy was huge for me. Etsy still is one of my best places to receive sales, which is insane.
What
But
do you think
moms,
that is? What do you think?
moms,
Yeah.
it's moms. And I also do, so one thing that I noticed whenever I did products was free shipping. Um, and we all know that we kind of offset that within the price. So, but free shipping for some reason will get most moms or most women like, oh, it's free shipping. So like that was one thing that changed the game for me. If I did a cheaper flusher blocker but had 5.90 or 4.99 shipping, I'd get less sales. But if I
I'm
made it
bad about that as a
$11,
customer. Yeah.
yeah, free shipping, it's all profit. So I mean to make the flusher blocker it's nothing. Like the profit margin's very good on that one. So that's why it's probably my best seller
Yeah.
too.
I love so much about all of your stories, but that one in particular, because I think it really is the essence of like how somebody can go from a problem they see in the world to now a product and a prototype that they have to them figuring out like how to go sell it, how to merchandise it, right? When you're starting to now put it in the stores, now you got merchandising, packaging, you got to
Yep.
make, it has to explain. You can't be in the bathroom with 10,000 10,000 women trying to explain to them how to make it work. It's got to show it on the package. So it's like
Yes.
all those little, they're not little steps, they're really big steps, but like nuanced things that sometimes trip up entrepreneurs and inventors from going from I've got a really great product, but now I got to try to figure out how to get it into a market. And the fact that you zeroed in on that like neurodivergent world, because that's where the biggest pain point was. Like the flusher blocker can be serviceable to so many different kinds of customer segments, but for that particular customer segment, the pain threshold of the problem is so much higher, right? So the fact that you recognize that yourself and then zeroed in on that as a market, and then it becomes a bit of a sort of a self-fulfilling thing. The word gets out, people see it, other people use it, and then you get folks from well beyond that one market. But like thinking about how to launch it in that way after into that particular customer segment, I think it was like super brilliant.
Oh,
Great.
well, thank you.
All
Corey, did
right,
you have
everybody,
something?
give.
Yeah,
Oh,
Andrew, you said something that really triggers that entrepreneur in me, and that was you can't sell to 10,000 women in a restroom. My question is, why can't you? So, why isn't this in industrial supply catalogs and supplied just like the hand soap, the paper towels, the toilet seat covers, the toilet paper itself? Why isn't this in a dispenser in bathrooms across the nation, across the world?
that is a very SBDC question and a good one. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a great. I have been asked that before, and the biggest thing for me, I think, is the research into getting into those, into getting into that big market. I have not that I don't have the time, it's I've chosen my time to either do books, and that's my thing too, is like I have more products that I have, and I actually probably need an assistant because my ADHD brain can only handle so much. So I love that idea, and I really, now that you say it out loud and hearing it like that, it sounds like something I really need to focus on, honestly. And I think that's a brilliant idea. So thank you.
I'm here to help. We're here to help. Um, my furthest client ever was Alaska. So you're closer. Let's talk.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right.
I think the really important part you brought up there, Carrie, was like, Kara, was around choices, right? So even though there may be a very viable business to be built around that particular segment or that particular distribution channel, you're like, well, I have these other, as the entrepreneur behind the business, you get to make the choices of where you invest your time and your energy. And yeah, that may be a huge market, but you're like, but I also love writing books. So if I go and do that, then I've got to make a different choice, right? And it's not always just about economics and growing and building, empire building. Sometimes it's just about using entrepreneurship as a tool for building the life you want to live. And a part of the life you want to live is writing kids' books too, not just, seeing your product in every bathroom on a dispenser, right? So even though that might be something you pick and choose at a different time, but like I love the fact that you're conscious about the choices you're making around where to focus your time and energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a problem with a lot of people is you need to know where your focus and energy goes to because what you put, like you just said, what you put your focus and energy to will be what is going to get bigger and better. So if you want to be diverse, then you're just going to have to, it's just going to take a longer time, which is fine. I'm fine with longer and keep going because I love what I'm doing. So
Right.
it works for now.
Yeah, an awesome book I'll share with everybody from another inspiring Canadian, Dan Martell. It's called "Buy Back Your Time," and it's a great book
Very.
to tap into, where I'm really getting conscious about where your time is going, and then how to buy back that time that you're spending as the founder, inventor behind behind the business, to then really lean into your particular superpower as the entrepreneur is really the essence of the book. But some really great kind of tools and frameworks in that book. Buy
It's a
back.
great book. Definitely.
Good
Love it.
deal.
Cool,
Well, thank
cool.
you so much, Kara. Everybody give Kara a hand. This
Yep,
was phenomenal.
absolutely.
That's my pleasure.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's see. We have some time to catch up on some news stories, I think. Eugenia, do you have one for us?
I do. It is Big Brother versus Little Brother. Do older large firms produce more patents, but do startup inventions make patents that are more impactful? Don brought up for our viewing today a story that was from January 2026, but they did a study using much older data. There's a couple of things that I wanted to point out, and then we'll talk about it and we'll ask questions. It says that, and I believe the industry to think through, everybody knows the corporates where when you're hired based on the type of work you do, based on the degree that you have, you're expected to have intellectual property that becomes part of the place where you work. So this article was really about those types of firms versus the startups and who's the most successful. So it's interesting. Inventors working for these older and larger firms during the same time period as a startup, when you just think of the patents, the patent applications for those working at those major firms, they had less impactful. So this is what they said. Patents of inventors at these big firms tended to receive fewer citations. So it was more of that quantity, right? They were tweaking something in the company. It was related to their job. So they created another patent, the volume of patents. These patents also had fewer claims and a higher share of citations referencing the firm's prior work, which is evidence of incremental rather than radical innovation. So I think that's real typical. That's not surprising to us. The flip side with the inventors of startups, they have just a lot more to create change. So the other thing about it is salary. Their analysis of the study showed that inventors hired at those larger firms earned more. I don't think that surprises anybody. There's a 12% bump in the salary compared to those who were hired at smaller firms. But those people making more money, they did 4% fewer patents, right? That's not surprising.
No. Figured it'd actually
The,
be a bigger salary and fewer patents, but yeah.
yes. So they had some other things that was interesting in this article, and then we'll move on to Don selected for us this evening something from the Small Business Administration. But it said this is, I think, This was the dynamics of the share of inventors working at these larger firms, which were 20 years and older with over 1,000 employees, rose from, and this is a little bit old, 49% in 2000 as compared to, it went up to 58% in 2015. Now, this was an article in 2026, and that's the most recent information that they had. If you compare that to the share of inventors working at the startup places in that same time span, it decreased from 15 to 8%. I thought that was interesting. That could maybe be from like the dot-com boom or something that, that kind of went bust and it just kind of went down. And then the other thing, firms founded by inventors, I thought this was really good. Firms founded by inventors are 40% larger at birth and grow significantly faster than non-inventor founded groups. Employment at inventor founded startups that survive 5 years grows nearly 70% compared to 41% for other similar firms. And this was based on census data, and they crosswalked it with this other like long thing. So they took the census data with some of the jobs data, and they just kind of crosswalked that to create these statistics. But when it comes to this, when we say inventors, when they migrate to big firms, the innovation becomes safer and less transformative, but they make 12% more money. That's interesting, isn't it? The market rewards stability, but society benefits from risk taking. That's those startups who create more of the jobs. And that inventors don't just innovate, they build high growth companies that fuel the economy. Was there anything else about that article, Dawn, that was interesting to you? I thought they took a little bit of liberties in some of their interpretations, but I'll let you comment on if you had any thoughts like that.
I've heard this before, and everyone kind of, or I think the common, just common knowledge or the common assumption of people is, oh, the big firms, they're the big employers. And it turns out that small businesses accounted for, small businesses contribute a net increase or 88 or 89% of the the net increase is small businesses. And people don't think that. They think, oh, it's the large corp. No, it's not. It's to me, the economy rides on the back of small business, and I think it really correlates with the with the inventor entrepreneurs, which that was the part I found absolutely interesting, was that that's where that's where the real innovation comes. And I've seen this in large companies. It's where everyone's afraid because it's a large company. Oh, well, if I say this, I might get dinged, or if I say that, or if I come out with this wild, crazy idea. And so everybody stays, like you said, safe. But in a startup, it's like, no, there's no holds barred.
Tall poppy syndrome.
Say that again.
Tall poppy syndrome, in these big bureaucratic companies, the tall poppy gets cut.
Yep.
Yeah. Corey, you had something?
If you're an inventor, you are an inventor, you'll always be an inventor. That's what you do. And eventually something is going to take. If you're an engineer and you go to a company that wants you to invent and you're not an inventor, what's going to happen?
You're just gonna
you're gonna try real hard, but
yeah.
You're gonna stress out, you're gonna burn out, and you're gonna turn over.
Yeah. This makes me think of like 1588 when the Spanish Armada invaded England and England won. The Spanish Armada had like 130 massive ships, and England had 24 much smaller ships. But it was because they were smaller. They were faster, they were leaner, they were more agile, they had to think outside the box, and they outmaneuvered the Armada. And I mean, it changed the course of history, but it's because they had to. They had to work with what they had, and they used what they had more effectively. And I think startups in general, because they are limited, I'm gonna use air quotes for that, they have to make decisions that are more impactful.
So Don, do you want to bring up that the small business, the 2025 report for that? And I thought we could go to one of those tables and we could
Yeah.
plot where we are based on the demographics. I think
So was it?
it's the Small Business Administration. It's the second link. It was, yeah, that
This one? Yeah.
So this is, if you go on up, it gives it the title at the
Oh.
very tippy top. Yeah. The Small Business Profile by the Office of Advocacy. So you can look at your state just to see what percent of small business employment is, and then go down to the next page. So this one more there to the bottom, the small size count. Yeah, just up one. Yeah. So small businesses is just go up a teeny tiny more. Yeah. Small
There we go.
businesses defined as 500 employees or less. And in terms of the industry, I thought this was interesting for anybody that has been an inventor, entrepreneur, and how you would put yourself in that industry, and then just to see the volume there with the number of employees, those without employees compared to 1 to 19 and 20 to 499. I thought that was interesting. And if you move up just a little bit, this is where it compares. Or see if it, yeah, go down.
Oh, go down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Keep going up.
Yeah. The business count by owner demographic. That one also. So for female versus male, in terms of 90% female do not have employees, 81% males. But when it's owned equally by both groups, you're looking at 50%, and then with employees, 49%. But I thought also, if any of you are writing grants to get funding, just always remember these type of reports are put out annually. You could always cite any of this information. Obviously, veterans, any ethnic groups, or that's going to help you as a minority to get funding. I thought this was really helpful. So I felt like it was almost like you gave us a contrast on. It was larger firms have the higher volume of patents, but the startups have more impactful patents. And then if we look at small business administration as a whole, and it really is the backbone of our economy. So, Kara, every idea and invention that you have where you're solving problems for other people, that's really the American dream, right? And we should be proud to want to have a small business as a part of being an entrepreneur and an inventor. I really enjoyed this part, Dawn, because it was big guy versus little guy.
And the little guys is the one that nobody sees.
That's why I try to support small business,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
because they work hard 7 days a week, just like those of us who are inventors. I texted my friend today and I said, "Congratulations, it's Friday. We get to work all weekend on just one job."
Oh, that's great. Andrew, I'm sure you've got some good insights on all this.
Yeah, so there's maybe a couple things to supplement all the stuff that Eugenia just shared. So at the beginning, I mentioned we ran our first 100% virtual business incubator cohort in 2015. So 2025 was our 10 years of having run that program, and
Wow.
just before Christmas, we ran our 101st and 102nd cohort of that program. So we've now put close to 2,000 people through that process.
Amazing.
Like I said,
Yeah.
700 communities across 2 countries. What was really interesting about that, and it held true right from the very first cohort that we ran to the 100th cohort that we ran, well over 80% of the people that we were finding in these rural places had never signed up for a business or entrepreneurship program ever before,
Yes.
despite the fact that they had access and available to them literally dozens of other things through SBDC, SBA, all kinds of other stuff, some of which right in their own backyard. Yet they're signing up for this virtual program from this guy on the other side of the country, right? Like, or in another country altogether. So that was like really interesting to me. So we dug into that. What we found was well over 90% now of those folks are women. Half of them are women with children under the age of 12. So we didn't necessarily go out looking for that kind of entrepreneur, but because of what we were doing, how we were doing it, the channels through which we were promoting, like all of that stuff, just things that I thought were like just a different or better way to attract a different kind of entrepreneur. That's who was showing up. Um,
Interesting.
well over 40% of them identify in some sort of minority population, either entrepreneurs with disabilities, newcomer entrepreneurs, part of the LGBTQ2S plus community, and all kinds of other indigenous entrepreneurs. But that was almost the complete opposite of who was typically showing up into the stuff I was doing in my economic development days. And like usually, most of the folks were in two categories that were showing up and taking advantage of most of our programs back then. It was either 20-year-old tech bros working on new flashy technology or middle-aged white guys, right? So all of a sudden, this whole other species of entrepreneur that's been hidden in plain sight in our ecosystem is starting to show up. And we've seen that year over year, cohort after cohort. Um, what's also interesting that we're seeing in there, most of the ways in which businesses are sized is by employee count, right? So most of the data that comes out is like based on how many employees you have. What we're starting to notice is entrepreneurs, and so it's not surprising to me to see a lower percentage of female led businesses with fewer employee counts because they're coming up with really interesting and innovative ways of building companies with zero employees. They're using their subcontractor friends, they're using virtual contractors and building substantial 6 and 7 figure businesses with zero employees. So all of a sudden, we start thinking about we start categorizing those businesses as either hobby businesses or like the nice to have businesses in our communities. But all of a sudden, in a town of 2,000 people, you've got four entrepreneurs that are bringing in 3 or 4 million bucks each a year at a $300,000 or $400,000 net profit margin. Like that has a huge impact in an economy. And they show zero employees on their payroll, right?
Right.
But they're now employing other small businesses, other contractors, other remote workers in their community, and an entire economy is being built around these businesses, but it's not really getting captured all that well in the data because we're not necessarily categorizing that way in the survey that we send them. They're like, how many employees you have? Zero. They don't ask how many local suppliers do you hire and how much money are you spending on those local suppliers, because that number would
Oh,
be substantially different, right? So
absolutely.
it's the nuances of the in the data that make all the difference in the world. And but yeah, it's really sort of fascinating for us being on the front lines of that, seeing that kind of data show up in real time and getting to see how creative some of these entrepreneurs, and particularly our female entrepreneurs, are getting around building really substantial businesses in really creative ways.
Tell me
Interesting.
more.
Oh,
I'd be happy.
absolutely. All right. Let's see. Well, let's move on to the next item here. Or Eugenia, do we have anything else on that?
Oh no,
Or
I think
oh,
Andrew
anyway.
landed that plane
Andrew nailed
nicely.
it, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on to this next item. It's headphones. It's a speaker. It's both. So this is let me get to it real quick. And this was actually a speakers with a twist. And I think I can play this without sound and it's just fine. So they're headphones. These are called the TDM's Neo headphones. And they twist and you've got them as headphones and then you take them somewhere and then you twist them back and then they become a speaker. I was actually at CES this year. It was one of the ones we didn't cover last month. And it's you just twist them. It's a simple concept. I guess the speakers are on both sides of the item. So and I guess you activate how the sound comes out by twisting them. So that was one story on it. 10x award winning. It is a Kickstarter. So I guess we can't use this one on Kickstarter pass or fail. Now that everybody's seen this one, but you twist them and transform from headphones to speakers in seconds. And they had a $10,000 goal on Kickstarter. They got 25 days to go, and they've already built 90,000 on it, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Pretty cool. First headphone speaker. Don't guess I've ever seen anything quite like this before.
Does it
So
say how much it weighs?
it's a good question. Does it?
I'll look it up.
Okay.
I'll
Take a
Google
look and see if we can find the weight on this thing. I think we've got, do we have one more on this? Nope. So do you think this could become a thing or is it just kind of a passing fad? Oh.
I'm kind of shocked this hasn't happened long before.
Yeah.
I mean, this feels like a 1991 product in some ways, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just I'm just shocked that it's not been a thing.
I hate this. I absolutely hate it.
Okay, tell us more, Corey. Why do you hate it?
We live in a current society where everyone feels they have a voice and their opinion should be everyone else's. That's coming from the fact I live off a main road, so I get to hear everything.
Oh.
If I'm on a bus, I don't need to hear your music. I don't need to hear your conversation. Stick to the headphones. Keep it that way. Use your money to make the headphones better. No one else needs to hear your stuff. I'm out.
So you think somebody
Honestly,
in the subways they're taking them off their head and they're sharing the sound with everybody?
it would
We're
make
already
being
doing it.
obnoxious more easy. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I had not
I
thought of that.
also qualitatively, I wonder, I don't know, I haven't listened to anything on this, but it seems like it's probably a mediocre headset and a mediocre speaker. And it's like, well, why not have good two iterations of both? So, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
this feels
Eugenia
like
just looked up. It
solution looking
weighs
for a problem.
11.6 ounces. So I'm guessing
Huh.
it might be. Could that mean it's cheaply made? I'm sorry, Andrew. You said you were saying something.
I was just like, when I first saw the video, I'm like, this is a solution looking for a problem in the world. Like, it's like a really cool, interesting device, and I'm sure they'll sell some stuff. And but in terms of like, yeah, like there'll be a niche market for it, but I don't
Yeah,
necessarily see it becoming like the next big mainstream
sure.
product, because like how many situations you find yourself in where you need to have both private music in your headphones and then music coming out of a speaker. It's like, well, if I need a speaker, I'll bring my speaker and keep my earbuds in. Like, I don't know. I just don't think there's a huge
Yeah.
problem market. They'll sell some stuff as a cool piece of tech. It's a really flashy mix for a flashy video. What
Let's look past the music. What if it's a conference call? Even at that point, there is no reason for me to take that off
I
and
know,
make it public.
absolutely, yeah. But they'll find a market for it. Like if you look at the demographic in their video, there's probably some 15 to 25-year-olds that will
Mm.
see that as cool tech, be early adopters of it, and spend their money in that way.
Yeah.
What's
I mean, they did get a
interesting to me about this kind
9x
of stuff,
return.
what's that, sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say they did get a 9x return on their Kickstarter,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
somebody wants it.
exactly. Yeah, somebody wants it. They'll definitely get a bump on that. What's
Let's
interesting
see
to me
if they
about this,
deliver.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's another thing about Kickstarter. I mean, we've seen a lot of when we'll do Kickstarter pass or fail, and don't mean to plug our programs, but that's it's funny that was something we just did in the winter and summer, and it became a thing. But we would do those, but sometimes there would be some horror stories about they'll say it does everything, it makes sliced bread, it flies around the room, and then all of a sudden it's like, and they raise like 1.2 million dollars, and then it's time to make them, and they're like, we really
We need molds.
yeah. What do you mean we need no molds? So yeah, it's I'll see that a lot. And to Andrew's point, that was my first impression. I thought, how many people that go around wearing headphones then go and sit down with friends and say, "Oh, look, I got a speaker now. Let's all listen to music." I don't know. It just sounded contrived a little bit to me. But then again, I'm not 15 to 25.
Yeah, whatever.
It's the guy who shows up at a party with a guitar and feels the need to play it.
Goodness.
I love that.
Mm.
Goodness.
Again, there's a market for that, right?
There's a market for
Somebody
it.
will buy it.
So,
Will,
so that begs the question: is Kickstarter a good place to still a good place to sell stuff like that?
Mm.
Apparently, it did for them.
I
What do
don't
y'all
think.
think?
Well, Kickstarter is just one platform. What it makes me think of is an organization called Crowdfund Better. So it's Kathleen Minogue and based out of the U.S. But like the idea of crowdsourcing funding for business ideas, I love.
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter is just one way to do that. Community capital is another way to do that. There's all kinds of different mechanisms through which to get people that are going to be your customers investing early in your business to help bring something to market. So I love the idea of that. I think um, the Kickstarter model in particular works really, really well for these kinds of products.
Right.
Not so well for like a local craft brewery that's trying to get four or $500,000 worth of funding to get started. It's like there's other tools in that crowdfunding toolkit to be used, and Kathleen and her team at Crowdfund Better, I think, do a really great job of walking
Mm,
people through the lots of different options that are available that aren't really all that well known, but have been around for a while.
nice. Very nice. Cool, cool. All right. Last but not least.
Mm. Well, speaking of Kickstarter, I never thought something like this would happen, but there is now a brick and mortar Kickstarter, a physical one, and it's in China. So it's the entity responsible is called NO100s. I'm assuming NO is short for innovation. And they partnered up with Kickstarter, and they now have a physical place in Shenzhen where people can actually like showcase their early stage products and get audiences engaged in real time. Um, this all started November 22nd, and they say that it's supposed to be both an incubator for new products and a way for them to get brand exposure, and that reduces how much they spend in marketing, which is like half of the work involved in doing a Kickstarter. So, and also, it's in a very populated area, so there's going to be a lot of eyes on it at any given time. So it's definitely got that going for it, and it's already got a lot of professionals interested. Um, so the doubly interesting. The coolest, in my opinion, of they've got it organized almost like a museum. It's there are zones related to different sorts of products, so you can go through it a lot more easily. There is actually a robotics interaction area and a creativity showroom. But the robotics area is the coolest because it actually does feature exoskeletons, different kinds of robots, both, the ones shaped like people and those creepy dog shaped ones. Uh, and they also showcase AI assisted work, which, of course is growing right now. One that really stands out is the Eufy Make UV printer, because it's the only place currently where you can actually interact with one. And this is the kind of printer that I'm sure that most of you who are passionate about inventing have seen, that the UV printers where you shine a light on a material and it hardens and almost instantaneously forms the product in question. So I I personally, I think this is really cool. What I want to know from you all, first of all, why do you think this got its start in China of all places? Go for it, Eugenia.
Because they love stealing stuff.
Well, that was my initial thought. Well, Eugenia, were you going to say the same thing almost?
China started live selling in
Hmm,
2015, and the United States is just now catching up to that. So it's almost like
interesting.
they're bringing back what is no longer in style for them. And
Hmm.
they like to set trends. So I find that very interesting.
Yeah. No, interesting. I think some of it, because this reminds me of a lot of product shows. We do the Innovation Station, and there's the Houseware Show. Well, there's just a number of expos and state fairs and things like that. What's neat about this is it's permanent. And again, as I alluded to, you got a big population in Shenzhen, so it kind of makes sense that it would kind of fit that bill where you don't really have to worry about the crowds tapering off after 5 days when it's time to take the booths down. That was one of my initial thoughts on it. And also that, it's a great place to knock stuff off. Do you guys
Why
think this
couldn't any
will,
trade
oh,
show in this country offer that?
well,
Period.
I think,
Will there be a store like that? Oh, I'm
yeah,
surprised they didn't do this in, New York or LA
yeah,
or Kansas City or someplace other
yeah.
than Shenzhen, China. I almost want to, it almost sounds like a parody of, hey, inventors, now you don't have to ship your stuff to the people that are going to reverse engineer your idea. Now they can just pick it up right in Shenzhen.
Hmm. What do
First
you guys
look.
think this will yeah. Do you think this will catch on in the US?
I think
Because
it should.
personally,
Go ahead.
yeah. Well, personally, I don't know about a permanent place logistically, but if they could do this, if they could at least test it as a pop-up and just like kind of like Antiques Roadshow, but for Kickstarter, I think that has some promise. Because
Mm,
America's a big
Let's
country,
do it.
and yeah,
we could do that. I
good
could get
deal.
behind that.
Yeah, I can see it being a pop-up at the very least. If one did show up in a town near you, whether it was a pop-up or a permanent thing, would you check it out? Yeah. I
Absolutely.
mean, I especially seeing and interacting with a UV printer. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go as soon as I heard about it. Hmm. But
Yeah, it
yeah,
sounds
I
like a
think that's
great way
really
to
cool. Something.
sounds like a
I'll
great
go
way to
for it.
kill an hour if you're hanging out in a in a new place, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, if there's
But
robots, 90
it
minutes
did
at
sort of
least. Yeah.
did sort of remind me of like, are there eBay stores anymore? I don't know if that was a thing in the US, where if you wanted to sell
I've
something on
never heard of
eBay, you
that.
bring it to this place, and it was actual like a retail, and they would sell it on. It's in some movie. I think the
Huh.
40-year-old virgin or something like that. He was
Huh.
dating the girl that owned the eBay store, or like the
Oh,
as
Yeah,
seen on
that's
TV
right.
store that you used to have in the 90s, right? I think
Amazon stores were a thing.
Yeah.
yeah, we still have, there's one here in central Kentucky. And it's like, and I forget what it's called, but you get on your phone, or you go online and you pick what, returned Amazon item you want, and they have it
Mm.
like down in, a little town around Lexington. And I forget what it's called. There's a
We used to call it service merchandise up here in the
oh
Midwest.
yes, precursor to Amazon. Yes. You picked out what you wanted and it came off a little conveyor belt. Those
Yeah,
were
I
the
And
definitely
days.
would
whatever
check it
you
out.
did, do not wear a purple shirt with.
You just muted yourself, I think. I heard
Yeah, I
purple
did.
shirt, and then it
I
sounded
was
like you were
just saying,
censored.
don't wear purple and khaki. That was service merchandise. Red shirt, khaki, that's Target.
Yep.
They all have them. Blue shirt, khaki, that's Walmart or Meijer.
And Kroger. Yep.
Well, at least
Good
we know
ones.
our dress code now for when we start this up.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like the purple and khaki. Let's do
Mm.
purple, pink, and khaki. Let's bring it back.
So Don, set the dress code for the next meeting.
All right.
There we
There
go.
you go. Okay.
Suspenders.
We'll have suspender day. That'll work.
Mm.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I think that anything else? Any other
I think
thoughts, ideas? Okay. Well, let's get some final thoughts. Corey, any final thoughts?
One thing I told you very early on, Don, this has been a great honor for me to join you all. I have promoted your inventor group since I learned about you. You're one of the most active, you're one of the most informative, you're one of the most engaged that I've ever come across. And I will continue to share this group, these meetings, this information with any of my clients.
Well, that is much appreciated. Absolutely. And I didn't know you had clients in Alaska. So you've got quite the reach. So if somebody wants to meet you, talk to you, how do they find you?
There's a number of ways you can do that. You can go to America's SBDC website to get connected to your local office. You can go to michigansbdc.org, which is our state region, and we will get you connected where you need to be.
Absolutely. All right. Good deal. Good deal. Kara, any final thoughts?
Just thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure and honor, and to be with you brilliant people tonight. I feel like I've learned so much just listening to everything you have to say, and I agree that the engagement that and what you stand for and how you do icebreakers and just the way it flows. I really appreciated that. So
Thank
it was a
you.
lot of fun, and I just feel very grateful. So thank you so much.
We're glad
Thank
to
you.
have you on here.
And Kara, if they want to find you, where's the best place to go?
Um, ugh, I have a bazillion emails, which are on all my websites. I would say LinkedIn, just because that
Okay.
encompasses me for
All
everything.
right.
The LinkedIn.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Andrew, final thoughts.
Yeah, just thanks again for the invite.
Thanks for being
And
here.
here I am sitting in a little place called Wildville, Nova Scotia, connecting with people in so many other places in the US. And I think despite all of the geopolitical stuff that's going on in our world right now, these kinds of conversations and connections from inventor to inventor, from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, from community builder to community builder across our borders
100%.
can cut through a lot of that noise. So
Absolutely.
so I really appreciate the opportunity to come hang out with y'all. And I think these kinds of relationships and connections are going to be the things that matter when the dust around all this stuff settles. So,
Absolutely.
because it will
Absolutely.
settle at
Yep.
some point. And yeah, just really appreciate everything y'all brought to the
Well,
conversation.
we appreciate you being here. And if
Yeah.
if they want to find you, find Mashup Lab, where
Yeah.
do they need to go?
No, I'm with Kara. The best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. Type in Andrew Button. Look for the pink light bulb on the black T-shirt.
Love that logo.
You'll
You were wearing
Yeah.
that the first day we met.
It's funny. I have people that have never seen me in anything other than a black T-shirt, a pair of
I
jeans,
don't
and
think I
a
have. Yeah.
pink light bulb, and I've known them for years and years. They're like, "Do you own any other clothes?" I'm like, "Only that and Dallas Cowboys gear. Like that's it. That's all that you find in my
Nice.
in my closet."
Oh, goodness. Eugenia, final thoughts?
You put a great show together for us tonight, Dawn, with excellent guests, and thank you so much. I still just want to pinch myself once a month, every Friday night. It's just too much fun.
All right. Well, thank you. Leo?
Really just thanks to all of the guests that showed up. This was phenomenal. Thanks to everybody in the chat. We've had a great chat on the stream, by the way. And so this was great. And thank you to everybody who's joined us this evening, both in the inner circle and outside of it. Corey?
I want to give it up to Don for bringing all of this together, building the network, the website, the community that makes all this stuff happen. Can we give a virtual round of applause?
Absolutely. We can do a literal one.
Well,
Thank you, Don. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it, and we really appreciate your support, Corey.
Did you all not know that when you do round of applause, you do this?
What? I've never heard of that in my life.
That's pretty cool.
That may
Okay.
be either from Girl Scouts or basketball camp, but that's a round of that's a round of applause.
Oh, all right. We all learned something new today about
That's our new
a round of
inventor.
applause.
It's our inventor applause.
All right.
Snap.
Kind of like the wave.
Yeah.
Oh, all righty. Well, watch for news, upcoming announcements. We got new stuff we're rolling out all the time now that it's 2026, and we're now the Acture Network. Check us out at actionetwork.com or .org. We will answer to almost anything. Our next open meeting is going to be March the 3rd. And our next Inventor Friday is going to be Friday the 13th again. You might want to keep that in mind. It should be very, very special. And that'll be March 13th. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for spending your Friday evening with us. And we hope to see you at the next meeting video or online, whatever we're doing next. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. We'll see you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.